Europe's climate policy is changing, not because the European Union is abandoning decarbonisation, but because it is increasingly using climate policy to strengthen industrial competitiveness. The European Commission's proposed reform of the EU emissions trading system provides perhaps the clearest example yet. Let's take a closer look at what's really happening. The proposals published by the European Commission on Friday the 17th of July may look like technical changes to Europe's carbon market. In reality, they reveal a much bigger shift. The EU emissions trading system is no longer just about reducing emissions cost effectively. It is becoming an instrument of industrial policy. The reason for this is not difficult to understand. Over the past few years, Europe has faced an energy crisis, rising geopolitical tensions, and growing concern about industrial competitiveness. At the same time, it has committed itself to reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 90% by the year 2040. The Commission now argues that the carbon market must support both decarbonisation and economic resilience. One of the most interesting proposals is the return of international carbon credits. For years, European climate policy has focused almost exclusively on reducing emissions within Europe. I've called it an island approach to climate policy before. Now the Commission is proposing that from the 2030s, international carbon credits could once again complement domestic action for up to 5% of the baseline emissions in 1990, provided they meet strict integrity standards. This recognises that emissions can sometimes be reduced much more cost-effectively outside the European Union, while still supporting the Paris Agreement. This is a major departure from the island approach back to a more collaborative one. It is being done in the name of allowing member states more flexibility to comply, to increase competitiveness. It also creates new demand of around 280 million credits from non-EU countries, which is a number large enough to get carbon traders excited. A second proposal is even more revealing. The Commission wants to use funds that are raised from selling emissions allowances to establish a €100 billion Industrial Decarbonisation Bank. This bank will help finance projects in sectors like steel, cement and chemicals, among others. It implicitly recognises that private sector efforts alone are not going to be sufficient. This reflects an important lesson from recent years. Carbon pricing encourages decarbonisation, but it does not always unlock the investment needed for new industrial technologies. Europe is therefore moving from simply pricing carbon towards actively financing industrial transformation. Another important change concerns the relationship between the EU emissions trading system and the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, or CBAM as it's known. The CBAM system, introduced in 2023, was designed to prevent carbon leakage by ensuring imports face a comparable carbon cost. Now the Commission wants continued free allocation to depend on companies investing in decarbonisation within Europe. That transforms the ETS and CBAM from pricing instruments into investment policy. It is also delaying the phasing out of free allocations of European allowances to industry by a further 2 years until 2038. These proposals are not where the story ends. They will now need to be negotiated by the European Parliament and also among member states, and many details may still change. But the direction of travel already seems clear. Europe's carbon market is becoming much more than a mechanism for pricing emissions. It is becoming a tool to finance investment, strengthen industrial competitiveness, and also to reinforce Europe's strategic position. That may prove to be the most important reform of the EU ETS since it was created more than 20 years ago. What do you think? Is Europe creating a more practical and competitive climate policy, or is it simply moving away from the original purpose of carbon pricing? I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Before I finish, there's one major part of these proposals that I've deliberately left aside. Hidden within the package is an ambitious electrification strategy with potentially profound implications for Europe's electricity system, for its energy security, and the future role of nuclear energy. That deserves an episode all of its own, so we'll explore that next time. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please do click like. If you haven't already done so, I'd be delighted if you'd subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for your attention today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon in the next episode of Climate Mundial. Bye for now.